Really? You gotta be kidding me.
I shared this one with you, Dad. Also, in case anyone was curious, I get remarketing ads for Advanced White Arm & Hammer toothpaste. I didn't know I needed that. Arkansas town banned from giving speeding tickets after writing too many. Over half the town's revenue came from traffic citations, running afoul of Arkansas state law. This is a great article from The Drive. Yes. Thank you, Steph, for writing it up. It is a tiny town with a population of 274 individuals, and it ran afoul of Arkansas's anti-speed trap laws that prohibit more than 30% of a town's revenue from coming from traffic citations. In Menifee, this is where we are, Menifee, Arkansas, an audit found that traffic fines comprised over half of the town's revenue. Dad, quote, this comes from the prosecuting attorney, Tom Tatum. Clearly, they were writing substantially more tickets than other communities that were similarly sized. Tatum worked on the audit of the town's finances, which found the city took in over $120,000 in traffic fines during 2020 alone.
Wow. You know what I would be curious about is how many of the Menifee residents themselves were ticketed. My guess is if you could prove you were from Menifee, you didn't get a ticket. Or if they knew you were from Menifee, you didn't get stopped and get a ticket. But if you were from anywhere else, well, just for driving through, we wanted to stop you, say hi, and hand you a citation.
Here we go, Pops. I'll give you some stats on what was going on in Menifee. Let me pull this up on the screen so everyone can read along with me. Yet the stats don't lie about Menifee's speed trap status. THV 11 acquired the full record of tickets written by the Menifee Police Department between January 1st, 2018 and August 24th, 2022. 0 warnings were given by Menifee Police in that time period. Despite Randall's assertions to THV 11 that he encouraged officers to make more use of warnings, one officer wrote a whopping 771 traffic citations alone, although he was a bit of an outlier given that the next highest number in citations written by one officer was 263. This is mind-boggling to think that this town relies over 50% of their revenue comes from just ticketing folks that drive through there. That's no bueno. That's no good.
I will say one thing. If and when we drive cross country again, we are now because they're not allowed to write tickets, we're gonna blow through Menifee.
I saved this for Friday with Miss Kimberly Klein joining us, Pops. We are going to talk about GM's Cruise recalled 80 of their autonomous robotaxis after public crash. The crash happened on the streets of San Francisco and left 2 people injured. This comes just a few months after we had those Cruise vehicles that were autonomously driven, no drivers in them, pile up. Well, they never hit each other, but they all just kind of got backed up on a road in San Francisco as well. At one intersection, yep.
Yes.
Zach,
so GM's Cruise.
I'm having a deja vu. I'm having a deja vu moment, Zach.
80 of the vehicles are being recalled. The first known recall of its kind, guys, where we've got autonomous vehicles being recalled. What's your take on this?
Well, I say?
Yes,
I was going to say, how do you convince that Robotaxi to show up at the dealership?
Good point.
All vehicles have recalls. Period. End of story. Including
even the autonomous ones.
The autonomous ones. Their vehicles, they're going to have recalls.
Pretty wild to think, though, that we've got our first, incidents happening where they're driving. No, okay, driving's not I don't want to use that word. Ultimately, these incidents are leading to the first recalls. Like, we are seeing how we are going to handle a future when you have vehicles that I guess, to RWD Please's point, can recall themselves. Maybe it's strange, isn't it?
What was the reason for the recall? The fact that it hits people, or what?
I'd like to see that too. What's it say?
Yeah. Here, I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second, and we can dig into that as a group. Regulators said that Cruise's software would, quote, incorrectly predict the path of an oncoming vehicle. Specifically, quote, in certain circumstances when making an unprotected left, because the autonomous driving system would cause the autonomous driving system to incorrectly predict another vehicle's path or be insufficiently reactive to the sudden path change of a road user, said NHTSA. Crews said the software issue caused the vehicle to brake hard while performing an unprotected left turn that it thought would be necessary to avoid a front-end collision. Ultimately, that led to scenarios where cruise vehicles were injuring folks.
So in other words, this recall is really a software issue. Is what
I mean, yeah.
It was what
it's not something mechanical with these vehicles. It's something with the brains of how the car makes decisions.
So whoever coded the software is the one that should be recalled.
Road user. Is that what we've been boiled down to? That's a great comment from Slippy. How about this? I got one other story for you guys. It's also really, you got to be kidding me. And Tellen, thank you, Tellen, for mentioning this. We've got a push from the National Automobile Dealers Association with regards to the FTC's regulations around car dealers. Tellen saying, yes, NADA is pressuring dealers to tell employees and customers to comment. They provided example scripts. You guys want to see what this example script says?
Yes.
Bring it on. I want to see it.
We've got here, guys, I'll pull it up on the screen. So if you go to the comments, we're up to almost 3,500, excuse me. You can sort them from newer to older. And so I've opened up some of the most recent comments. This is from Matthew Allen. To whom it may concern, as a college student, I was fortunate enough to begin a career in the automotive industry at a local car dealership. I was concerned at first because of all the rumors about shady car dealers. That was in 95. The vast majority of car dealers are filled with honest and hardworking people from your community. Please do not add unneeded regulations because a few apples fail to uphold integrity. So you've got a nice personal appeal. Justin Borst, I believe these changes are totally unnecessary. This will further complicate the buying process and be cumbersome for the buyer and seller alike. From Robert Spencer, buying a car already takes a lot of time and paperwork. Most of the dealers in this country already do a great job under the current rules. You shouldn't make things more confusing and take longer. You should just keep enforcing the current rules. Brandon says, this seems unnecessary and counterintuitive to creating a positive and streamlined process customer wants. Creating mounds, more red tape costs employers and employees money, and it trickles down and costs consumers money. This doesn't protect them. It just beleaguers the process. Just watching the explanation of how much additional paperwork would be required for a car deal makes my head spin. Please think twice before complicating an already overly complicated process of purchasing a vehicle. A few more here for you. From Bill. I've worked at Laurel Toyota for 10 years, been in the auto industry for 40 years. These rules would confuse longtime customers who trust in the dealership. First-time buyers would be confused, not knowing anything about purchasing a vehicle. Our sales process is transparent and a direct result of the repeat and referral business that reflects our goal of customers for life. I take pride in meeting.
May I say one thing about that one? Laurel Toyota, when he worked there, that was owned by CarMax. Okay. And so they operated under the CarMax principle. The price was the price. Okay. That was pretty simple. Most dealerships, as we know, don't operate that way. And most dealerships, as much as those words were glowing about, oh, how we don't want it to take more time, it wouldn't have to take more time if there was transparency in the advertising, if there was transparency in the aftermarket products that were being offered, if there was transparency in the fact that there's forced accessories that have absolutely no value whatsoever. We know, the FTC knows, every congressman and senator knows, every politician knows, anybody who's ever bought a car in this country knows what a struggle it is and how difficult it is because the dealers have made it that way. It's time to kick these dealers in the ass and get them out of there. The ones that don't want to do it right, get them out of there. Change dealer principals' minds. Change the process to a way that it's fair. It should be no different than going into a Best Buy and buying a damn toaster oven. The price is the price, and it should be no different than when you go to buy a car. Just because somebody is a better negotiator than somebody else doesn't mean that they should get the car less. Everybody should be treated the same. Everybody should.
Are you telling me that him coming in and out is just on my end, or is that on your end too?
It's on my end too.
Pops, like, you gotta go talk to the condo association. You're preaching, man. You're just crushing it. And then it goes, and you sound like one of those cruise autonomous cars. It's really a shame.